When an alienating parent dies, what really happens to the children and the parent who was pushed away? A lot of people imagine a movie like Reunion. The villain is gone, so the hero gets their children back, and everyone lives happily ever after. But if you've been through parental alienation, you know reality is far more complicated. Brace yourself, because the truth can be heartbreaking, but it's also where the path to real healing begins. First, let's talk about the legal side of things. Does custody automatically go back to the alienated parent? The answer is a firm maybe. It doesn't just snap back into place. It really depends on where you live, what the last custody order said, and whether your parental rights are still legally intact. If you are completely stripped of rights, that's a huge hurdle. In some situations, yes, custody can revert relatively quickly. The court sees the surviving parent and says, okay, this makes sense. But in many other cases, especially if years have passed, it's not so simple. The court might step in and appoint a temporary guardian. They might get Child Protective Services involved to assess the situation. They might even order psychological evaluations for both you and the children before making any decisions. The legal system that sidelined you for years doesn't just magically undo all of that overnight. The death of the other parent is a significant event, but it's just the first step in a long legal process, not the final one. Now, let's move on to the part that matters even more than the paperwork: the child's psychological reality. This is the heart of the issue. Parental alienation is a form of deep emotional and psychological programming. It rewires a child's brain and their entire emotional map of the world. Just because the person who did the programming is gone doesn't mean the program itself has been deleted. It's still running in the background. What does this look like? Well, the child might start to idealize the deceased parent. Their memory becomes perfect, almost saintly. This makes it even harder for the child to reconnect with you because they feel an intense loyalty conflict. In their mind, loving you feels like a betrayal of the parent they just lost. They can be overwhelmed with fear, guilt, and confusion. They were taught for years that you were dangerous or unloving, and those feelings don't just vanish. As a result, many children will actively resist being with you, even when they're finally free to do so. Alienation is internalized. The voice of the alienator, the negative things they said about you, can continue to echo in your child's mind long after the person is gone. It becomes their own inner voice. Here's one of the cruelest and most confusing twists in this entire tragedy. The children may actually blame you, the alienated parent. It sounds completely backward, but it happens. From a child's perspective, which is driven by emotion and a desperate need for control, they might blame you for causing stress on the other parent. They might think, if you had just gone away, mom or dad wouldn't have been so unhappy. They might even blame you for not stopping the alienation, for not being powerful enough to fix it. And in the most extreme cases, they might unconsciously blame you for the death itself. The logic is twisted. If you hadn't existed, my parent wouldn't have had all this conflict and they might still be alive. This isn't rational thinking, it's an emotional survival mechanism. Grief is chaotic and overwhelming, and assigning blame, even unfairly, can give a child a temporary and false sense of control in a world that feels completely out of their hands. It's a way to make sense of the senseless. Because of all this complex psychology, a sudden, forced reunification can backfire spectacularly. Imagine being a child who has been taught that a monster is coming to get you, and then one day you're told, "Good news, you get to go live with the monster now." That's what it can feel like to them. Forcing immediate closeness, big family reunions, or pressuring them for hugs and declarations of love will likely increase their resistance. They may shut down completely. They might act out in anger and defiance, or they may retreat even further into themselves, creating an emotional wall that becomes even harder to break through later. This is not a Hollywood ending. Most therapists and family court professionals who understand alienation will recommend a slow, gradual, and supportive process of reconnection. It's about taking baby steps, not one giant leap. It's about rebuilding a foundation brick by brick, not moving into a finished house. So, where's the hope in all of this? The truth is, this moment, right after the death of the alienator, is incredibly fragile. But it is also a pivotal moment of opportunity. It's a doorway that can lead to healing, but you have to have the right key. If the situation is handled with immense patience, consistency, and a focus on creating emotional safety, that door can slowly start to open. But if it's handled with pressure, with legal aggression, or with an attitude of, "You're finally mine now," that door can slam shut and be permanently locked. The energy you bring to this moment is everything. Your child is grieving. They are confused. They are scared. They don't need a parent who is demanding their rights. They need a parent who is a safe harbor in a storm. So what actually helps? What are the practical steps that can lead to a true reunion? First and foremost, trauma-informed therapy, for the children especially. They need a professional who understands parental alienation and grief to help them unpack the years of programming and their current loss. Second, you, the alienated parent, must try your best to be a pillar of calm and stability. Don't blame them, don't show your anger or frustration to them. They need to see that you are the safe, stable parent you've always been. Third, and this is absolutely critical, do not badmouth the deceased parent. No matter what they did to you, that person is still your child's parent, and your child is now grieving them. Speaking ill of the dead will only be seen as an attack, confirming everything the alienator said about you. It will push your child away. Instead, show compassion for their loss. Finally, this is a marathon, not a sprint. You need long-term consistency, not short-term emotional urgency. Be there. Be patient, be available, don't push. The bottom line is this: the death of an alienating parent removes the source of the alienation, but it does not remove the impact. The poison is gone, but the effects are still there and need to be treated. Reunification is absolutely possible, but it is a slow, careful process, not a switch you can just flip. The love you show must be steady, humble, and incredibly patient. Ironically, the parent who is willing to wait, to listen, and to remain emotionally safe without demanding anything in return is often the one the child eventually learns to trust again. Your quiet, steady love is the most powerful tool you have. Thank you so much for watching. If this video was helpful, please give it a like and subscribe for more content on navigating difficult family dynamics. And remember, if you or your children are struggling, reaching out to a qualified therapist can make all the difference. Take care.